Morning guys, my name is Tinymac12. I'm here to talk about the new comparison spreadsheet that I just wrapped up. Starting with the Reddit post, we'll have the link to the new version of the spreadsheet and this video. I know it's not as clear to understand to you guys as it is to me on how it all works. So, moving to the spreadsheet, once you're there, you'll be taken to this instructions page. Just that'll explain how you use the different spreadsheets, the different pages to analyze the FEHB or PSHB plans. The first thing I want to highlight is I am not endorsed or sponsored by OPM, any of the carriers, or the subreddit. I just did this as a side project, as an exercise, and a puzzle to solve in some free time I had. The first thing you want to do when you get into the spreadsheet is to make a copy. So you'll do that by going to the file, make a copy, name it whatever you want, and this will add it to your Google Drive where then you can edit that version to your heart's content. Multiple people have sent me requests for edit access to the spreadsheet, which I will not give. Otherwise, you could break up the spreadsheet for everyone, or just have all kinds of chaos ensue. So, make a copy, do with it what you will. The rest of this is instructions that you can refer to, or you can just watch this video. So the next page is the user inputs. This is just kind of like overarching content that the spreadsheet needs in order to accurately capture your situation. First is where do you live? So this is going to pull in the different regional plans that are available to you. So like Missouri or whatever state, or they even have some overseas specific HMOs. Put in your enrollment type, self plus one, self and family, however many you want to capture. Are you retired or employed? So would you be on the bi-weekly premium or the monthly premium? The annual is the same within rounding, but maybe for your budget it matters. If you are eligible for Medicare Part B, or just want to look at what that kind of redundant coverage would look like, you can select whichever bracket you're in, that premium. I have them down here, that's pulled from the Medicare website. How much you want to contribute to the FSA or HSA. I recommend, at least for the first run through the spreadsheet, to keep these at 0. That way we're not conflating costs from contributions to the health insurance, and you'll see what I mean later. This row 7, asking if you're older than 55 but ineligible for Medicare. This was a recent change to HSA contributions, where if you fall in that category, you get a $1,000 higher limit, a catch-up contribution. How do you plan to spend your HSA or invest it? And the rate of return, how long you're going to keep them saved, just kind of works into how are you going to treat your HSA. One thing I want to point out is if you don't know how much you want to contribute to the FSA or HSA, you can simply type in deductible here, and the formula will actually take that string and compare to how much the deductible is for the plan, and you're only contributing that much. That's a way you could do it on your second run. Don't edit any of these other things. Those are all just standard constants that I will hopefully be able to just update this table and then streamline my future puzzle solving. So once you've set up all your inputs, you're going to go to either FEHB or Postal Service, whether you're Postal Service or non. I'm a non-Postal Service worker, so I would be in this spreadsheet. So you see there is multiple of these green highlighted cells. These are all cells that you can input numbers into, or whatever the variable is, without breaking any of the spreadsheet. So say you're interested, this first option is where you're going to pick which carrier you're looking at. So if you're interested in MHBP, you might notice immediately that these all break. But that's pretty simple because MHBP does not have a high option. They have a value and a standard. Once you click that option, then it'll recalculate the formulas and you have all that data. For the enrollment type, right now it is defaulted to what you put on the user input sheet over here. However, since there are plans such as FSBP High, where the self and family is cheaper than the self plus one, $248 versus $257, I wanted to leave that flexibility in there, so maybe you are just interested in self plus one, but there are plans that are cheaper with self and family, and you're free to move to those. OPM did provide the FEHB and PSHB self plus one versus self and family tables, where they highlight every single plan where that is the case, where self plus one is more expensive than self and family. So take a quick look here, make sure that your plan doesn't fall on this, and if it does, move on over to self and family for a few dollars saved. Moving back to the comparison tool, there were people that were interested in looking at both in and out of network care. So if you wanted to do that, we have MHBP standard. So we can go over here, MHBP, standard option, switch this to out of network, and now you can see the differences in care. So primary care was $20 versus 30% co-insurance. One thing it does not capture or I call out is I don't know if the deductible is shared between the two. I don't know if the $700 for in-network care is going towards the $1,500 for out-of-network care. There are some plans where it is, and there are some plans where they don't. Additionally, this does not capture whether this needs to be satisfied for the entire family, or if there's a smaller amount where I know in FSBP High, that's what I've had this past year, where no individual had to satisfy more than a $300 deductible before their coverage kicked in, or $600 for the whole family. You can ignore the type of plan. That's just something I needed to identify the HDHPs. HSA pass-throughs, this is just the quote-unquote free money that the HDHPs might put into your account. So GEHA and MHBP put in their $2,000, $2,400 for their family high deductible plans and out-of-pocket max. This next section we'll come back to. This tax favored accounts, this is your FSA and HSA. But you can put in, right now the tax favored account contribution is being pulled from the user inputs. But if you say, I know under MHBP standard I need X number of dollars, you can hard code that. I would just caution you to maybe copy the column or save a different version, because I'm not sure how easy it will be to get this exact formula back into here. And then also, if it's an HSA, this number of amount to be used for reimbursement might be different than the amount in the account, right? If you wanted to save and invest more of your balance than using it for reimbursements. So that's kind of like how you set up the plan. Then you can actually look at what the coverage is. So we have, I kind of broke this out into different kind of categories. So medical care was just, as you can see, like going to your doctor, going to the hospital, having surgery. And generally if it's a number greater than 1, so you have 20 here, this would be a $20 copay. If it's less than 1, that means it's a co-insurance, or 30% here in this case. FSBP high, 10%, right? So you can kind of look at that and understand. If there is just a simple dash like these ones, that means there is no cost sharing. You don't have to have a copay or a co-insurance for that. So if you go into inpatient with MHBP in network, you have a $200 copay to go inside. You pay a 10% co-insurance for any surgeries, but you're not having to pay for the room. Kind of opposite here is FSBP. You don't have to pay for the admission, and you only have to pay for the surgery. So that's a pretty amazing benefit there, right? If it says it's not applicable or member pays all charges, it's all on you, typically, or it's not available. So this preferred lab MHPP standard option does not have a preferred lab, according to the PUF, public use files. Just a bunch of data that you can look through. I know one thing I wanted to highlight that I kept from last year was gender affirming care. That benefit was removed from a carrier letter 2025-01B. But I just wanted to highlight that was a reduction in benefits across the board. There's a lot of information that OPM included this year, prompting the carriers, where it'll say 10% coinsurance for something like here therapy ABA, but there's more information in this case EQ. If you go to FEHB benefits, it's a really long table, but you can scroll through, go to EQ, and you'll see there's maybe some more fine print. So this case, it looks like it's nothing special. It's a coinsurance of their plan allowance, it looks like. I don't know which one MHPP is, but there's more details, is what I'm trying to say, than what that table might imply. I know there were questions on the vision benefits of GEHA high deductible plan, where their vision was no longer covered. They didn't have the allowance, but the respective column said see their brochure. So I'm guessing they had their payment structure that they just didn't want to walk through inside that one single cell. So as always, please refer to the brochures or the carrier websites for the actual benefits. This is just a quick comparison between the plans to help you guide where you should focus your energy. Okay, so that's all the benefits, and now we're getting to this cost trend analysis. So what this is this first row is zero healthcare expenses. So this is your premiums plus your FSA, HSA contributions. And since those are zero, this is just your premiums, right? And then this row is saying I had $600 of negotiated care in this past year. What does that look like under these plans? So under MHPP standard, if you have $600 of care, your annual out-of-pocket, including premiums, is $6,273, $600 more, because you have that $700 deductible up here, right? I assume that they have no coverage prior to the deductible being satisfied. I guarantee you there are plans where that is not always true, where you can go to primary care and that you'll have a copay of say $20 without having to satisfy the deductible. But that language isn't easy to find or incorporate into this analysis, so I just use the assumption that it's not satisfied, that it has to be satisfied in order to receive benefits. Similarly, so $1,800 to just down the line. This last one, this $50,000 one, this was me trying to do an arbitrary, we have to go be an inpatient at the hospital. So this $50,000 is divided among the 4 different inpatient, admission, room and board, inpatient surgery, and other inpatient costs, and just divided that across. It's a really poor way to do it, because there are a lot of plans where it'll say, yeah, inpatient is $200, room and board is $75, but it's $75 per day. But this calculation just takes, room and board, $75. Here we go. So it's again, this is just trending data. This isn't exact. I highly encourage you to read the brochures and maybe put in some finer details that you have had in the past to try to clean this up, make it more accurate to your specific scenario. And then lastly, we have the out-of-pocket max. This is just premium plus max out-of-pocket. These all are color conditional formatted by color with their respective row, green being cheapest, red being most expensive in their row. As you can see, Blue Focus is cheapest, but I caution against Blue Cross Blue Shield Blue Focus simply because these $10 copays are limited. I think it's 10 visits per person, and then after that it jumps up to a 30% coinsurance. And also the 30% coinsurance for emergency and inpatient care really turns me off from that as well. Also having a $20,000 out-of-pocket max is just really scary. I want my insurance to protect me in the worst case, not keep me cheap in the best case. That's just a personal preference. That's kind of why that one's so cheap. And then this last little table is more of like kind of like a budgeting item. It's kind of awkward here because MHBP standard is the same. Let me come up here and change that to something else. We'll go back to Blue Shield Basic or something. Yeah. Let's change that to like value. Uh-oh. We see something broken. What's broken? Because we're out of network. There we go. That's more what I was expecting to see here. So this is just saying if you're currently on Blue Cross Blue Shield Basic, how much would you save or not save if you switch plans? Like if you went from Blue Cross Blue Shield Basic to the MHBP Value Plan, you'd be saving $193 every month. If you went from FSBP High to Blue Cross Blue Shield Basic, you'd be spending an additional $108. This doesn't take into account any of the pre-tax benefits, so these numbers are not exact. They will be different from what you'll see on your pay stub, but it's just another guide of like budgeting your numbers. I forgot to mention this earlier. With these cost trends, this trend analysis, how it works is it takes this $600 of negotiated cost care and determines how that care will be processed through the plan. So we'll look at this $1,800 one because it satisfies the deductibles. It will look at the specialist visit and determine whether it's a copay or a coinsurance. If it's a coinsurance, like the FSBP High, it'll just take that coinsurance and apply it to the $1,800. If it's a copay, like in this case, MHBP Values is a $50 copay, then it takes the negotiated care cost of $1,800 and it divides it by this arbitrary cost of a doctor visit, $225. So that's roughly 5 or 6 visits. So you have 5 times your copay, $50, $250 was your out-of-pocket cost. And it does that for all of these different ones. So yeah, it first satisfies the deductible, and then it starts using the benefits above. Just to be clear, the Postal Service is exactly the same exact layout. The biggest difference I've seen, I haven't looked at it too closely, is the premiums are different and the plans are not all the same. They have some plans like the Now Kai that is no longer available in FEHB. But Postal Service no longer has Foreign Service Benefit Plan. Or maybe they never did. I don't know. So now that we've done that, we could come back here and say, I want to put in the deductible for both FSA and HSA. So we've done that. So now you come here and you can see these are all populated. And you notice the Blue Cross Blue Shield Basic and doesn't have a deductible, so it doesn't have an HSA or an FSA contribution. And then when you come down here, these numbers are higher. The initial number is higher because we have that contribution limit. But you can see after $600, your out-of-pocket hasn't changed. You've locked in that contribution and you have $600 left. So I should go in here and add in the tax benefits of these. I just haven't yet. That would probably be a V3, the taxes and the simulation, but I just don't have the time right now to do that, or really the motivation to do that. And you'll see over here for the HDHPs, they look bad in this case because, oh, this is $7,400, whereas I can get Foreign Service Benefit Plan for just $7,000. That's saving $400, but there's still $3,400 in this tax favored account, right? So that's actually $4,000 out of pocket since you have that money in a bank account now. So it takes some nuance, and if you have any questions about any of this, please send me a message or a comment on the post, and I'll hopefully be able to help you the best I can. You feel free to look at all these other spreadsheets. They're just kind of different lookup tables. I don't need that for the different formulas to look into. But please reach out. Please read the brochures. And I also want to mention this is a rudimentary free resource. There is the consumer checkbooks version that you are highly encouraged to go look at. There are agencies that provide this for free. Check it out, see if one of yours is in it, and if not, you can come in here, buy access to it, and if it still works, we have the Fed News discount. I say we, it's actually the Federal News Network, but so for $14 you can possibly save yourself thousands of dollars. Could be well worth the price tag. And with that, I will sign off here. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, again, please reach out. Thanks. Bye.